Hello, it's AJ here. We just had chapter 1117 of One Piece just drop, and obviously we have a lot to talk about. Let's get into it. So the chapter opens up again, much like a lot of these other chapters, where we have the world reacting to Vegapunk's message. And what's interesting here, or what I thought was the most interesting about this particular segment of the reactions, is we got the reactions of Garp's disciples, like his apprentices, the ones that he's really taken under his wing. And just like much of the other world government officials, or the Marines rather, they are kind of in a flux of what to think about it. They don't have a clear opinion on it exactly. Koby's sitting there thinking like, oh, I don't know what to think. I'm just so mixed up right now. I don't know which way to go with it. They are going to be the future of the Marines. That is what Garp has sent them out to be. That is the promise that Oda has given to us through Garp, through his entire narrative here. They may be the breaking off faction from the world government in a world where maybe Akainu sees the stuff that's going on with the Gorosei right now as a necessary evil, just like he did in Ohara. It was a necessary evil for what his justice was supposed to be. If we look back at last chapter, and we have Akainu's reaction to this, it's a little ambiguous. We don't know if he knew all this information beforehand or if he's learning it with the world. Regardless of which side of the coin you fall on that conversation, it's clear he doesn't want the world to know about that information. Whether that means he wants to handle it on his own or he wants to address that through the means that he's already been given, this man is upset about people knowing the truth. That said, good and evil can have very complex sides to it. Like Vegapunk said, you can't assign it just off of motivations alone. Sometimes you have to look at what makes the pie. What ingredients is going into the pie to make the actions make sense? We also got some reactions from Hawkins there, another morally gray character in One Piece. And he's just kind of looking shocked. He's a little solemn. He's just like, essentially shitting his pants because he doesn't know what to think about this information. He's never heard this before. Those good intentioned Marines that we're used to seeing in the story are all kind of lost at what to react to this information coming to them. And of course, we finally get to see Smoker. Where's Smoker been this entire time? They even ask him, where are you right now? We've been wondering the same thing. Smoker's been missing for however long. But all that said, you get to see him looking cool and riding on his bike while he's smoking his cigars. I mean, if this man wasn't made of smoke, he'd have infinite lung cancer, I'd imagine. It was great to see the reactions of the good-hearted Marines. So we cut back to Egghead, and you still have like a varying degree of opinions on the island as this message is playing across as well. You have some low-ranking Marines saying, hey, what is he saying? That's crazy. And other ones being like, shut up, do exactly what you're told. You got the ones that want to uphold the current order despite of all the stuff that they're hearing now, and you got the ones that are like, no, I'm not going to fight for that. That's insane. Even though it would be clear to most of our heads, why would you want to be on the side of someone who is sinking the world, even if it's unintentional? At the very least, it's not going to be in your best interest to do so. As we mentioned with Akainu earlier, it may not be that simple. And it seems like a lot of the Vice Admirals at this point, based on what we saw in this chapter, are kind of just going with orders, not really reflecting too much on what actually is happening, just staying very mission focused. We did see Dahl throw a punch at a giant. I mean, it was fine. It's nice to see a Vice Admiral do something other than be a punching bag for one of the Straw Hats. Frankie did have a pretty nice moment the last time we saw a Vice Admiral involved. So it's good to see that they actually can do something. We did see Kashi be on the receiving end of that Dahl punch there. And that didn't look too great for him considering how bad the Vice Admirals look at this point, but what are you gonna do? We have kind of an interesting dynamic appearing here on the Sunny. We have the Straw Hat showing up. We have Lilith on there. We have Bonnie, who presumably is also going to be on the Sunny going forward here. Then we have Sanjo on the way with Vegapunk's corpse. Now, this is One Piece. I mean, if you die, are you dead? Not necessarily. But also, what is death to someone like Vegapunk? That's something that even Mars was considering when he went to the lab and he saw Vegapunk's true brain. Is consciousness something that exists beyond the human form for Vegapunk? We don't know that. So just because he's dead doesn't mean he's dead necessarily. But the fact that we have the largest grouping of people here that feasibly could be riding on the Sunny at the same time. Oh, Stussy's also there. We do have Stussy. She is coming along as well, at least presumably, since she was kicked out of the lab by Edison. And so with all these different characters to play, we are truly in the end game of One Piece. And I just want to see all this shakes out, just like we all are anticipating here. We got to see a really nice moment between Venus Nostjoro and Zoro. Well, and we can throw Jinbei in there. Jinbei did have a nice little quarterback draw there when he threw when he threw Zoro towards Venus. I've been very kind of back and forth on how strong these Gorosei are, because we have times where Sanji's just like kicking the absolute shit out of them, and other times where they're clashing with Luffy and completely just ignoring any type of damage at all. Particularly with War Quarry, when he took that punch from Luffy and really wasn't phased at all. In fact, Luffy got hurt from that punch. Obviously, they are serious enough of a threat to where they don't have any point in fighting them right now. There is no good end that can come from that. But it does seem that these characters around Sanji and Zoro's level can contend and at least defend against them, which says a lot. And we also saw Dorian Bragi cut St. Jupiter as well when he was in his worm form. So they're not insurmountable opponents. However, they can't be harmed at the current point. So one thing I do want to highlight about this chapter is how good some of the art in this chapter was. The scene where we have all the giants coming out and just causing a ruckus, absolutely beautiful. Oda has been in his bag when it comes to some of the art in Egghead. And we can't say that's been true for a lot of the New World here. I mean, whether it be a change of art style or just not having enough time in between the chapters to fully give his all to certain things, we don't always get the best art in every chapter. And I really enjoyed, one, the scene where Venus Nostra was kind of squaring up his attack, and then also the clash between Zoro and Venus. It was a great shot. So, this chapter was the end of Vegapunk's message. And the last thing he wanted to leave on was something on the D clan. As we've been listening to this message with the rest of the One Piece world, some of the stuff we already knew as the audience, and some of the stuff we had heard for the first time, just like the people in the One Piece world were hearing. And I would imagine that the thing about the D clan that Vegapunk wanted to make clear at the very end here was something that we don't even know yet. We know that the D clan is the enemy of the gods. We learned that from Rocinante, but what is it about the D clan that we still don't understand that Vegapunk needs to say? While it wasn't the most satisfying to not get that reveal immediately, like you want to have that conclusion, I think it was good to know that there's more left to this mystery of One Piece that we're all enjoying that we can find out going forward. I do believe when we find out whatever that is, that's going to be something that rocks the One Piece story to its core. Because there could be more to it. We still have a Nell on the moon. Maybe it's something to do with people from outer space. But overall, we were ultimately left on a cliffhanger here in this chapter. That is the nature of reading One Piece week by week. Overall, I felt like this was a good chapter. If I had to give it a rating based off everything we saw, the reactions I thought were pretty compelling and interesting. The few action shots we did get had pretty great art, and it was between people that we actually wanted to see fight. Well, at least Zoro and Venus. So between that and the ending of Vegapunk's message and the little teaser we got there, I'd give this chapter about a 7. I'd say a 7 is fair for this chapter. It wasn't the most exciting chapter, but it also kept things going. For what it was very compelling. So I look forward to the next installment of One Piece, just like the rest of us are. And if you enjoyed my review here, I thank you for sticking around for this long in the video. Please leave a like on the video, as this is a new channel and I am trying to grow a little bit, and that helps me out a great ton. And if you like what you saw, please subscribe and hit that notification bell. And I'll see you on the next one.